there, Christine Glover, USA Today best-selling author, here to talk to you about the inspiration and the process for creating my new series, C.R.U.SH, Covert Rescuers Undercover Shield. I started this project in 2018, if you can imagine, and the reason why it took so long was a lot of little moving parts had to come together, and I wasn't ready to do them all. Plus I had a lot of life happenings coming along the way. So the first thing that happened was I got an idea, just an inkling of an idea. But before that happened, I had actually started working on a 4-book series for a small town contemporary romance set in Virginia in the Shenandoah Mountain region. And I had sort of kind of loosely plotted it out, and I was playing around with the first story, and I never really got to it because I was working on other stuff. I started working on Brotherhood Protectors, which was a lot of fun, and learning how to write romantic suspense and action stories was a new challenge for me. And I was really loving that, and then just continuing on with some of my contemporaries. Well, in the meantime, since then, that was back in 2017, well, the Kindle worlds got shut down, and it wasn't clear whether or not the owner and author of the Brotherhood Protectors world, Elle James, was going to go forward with doing a her own publishing company, or if she was going to let us take it out, take the books ourselves, strip everything that was related to her world out of the books, and then we could republish, or there was just a lot of uncertainty in the air. So I wasn't sure what to do, because the first 2 books I wrote for the series, they were very, very linked. It would have been a lot of work to strip the stuff out of there. And I loved the stories, and I loved the world. Fortunately for me, Elle decided to go on and create her own publishing company so we can continue writing in that world, and it's been a blast. I'm extremely happy. But in the meantime, I was like, what am I gonna do now? So I revisited that small town series and kept poking around it. And originally I had wanted to do more of like a series where it was more action adventure, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. So just some, lollygaggling around, feeling a little bit sorry for myself, kind of letting my brain mull through some stuff. And then suddenly I was like, I do want to do a spy agency. I want to do something different. So I went ahead and decided to run with it. But then I wanted to link it to something that I really enjoy, which is drinking wine and wineries. And so I came up with this crazy idea to have this secret agency that was run through kind of like a John Wick, if you will, run through secret headquarters located at 5 different wineries all over the world, plus with all these different storefronts and just different secret ways of communicating, and it operates outside of the normal governmental agencies. So that was the first thing that I came up with. So I was like, well, I've already kind of got some names and a location and a story, and I was going to do this X winery. Why don't I start with some of the information I already have, because never throw anything away if you don't have to. And I just kind of rebooted it with this new series in mind. So I wrote Covert Seduction, completely changed the approach, completely changed everything that I wanted to do with it, and then I introduced Covert Rescuers Undercover Shield. However, it took me up to a year to come up with C.R.U.SH, the acronym, because I couldn't come up with something to go with the H, to be very honest. I could do C and R or U and S, but the H was just baffling me. So I ignored it. I just couldn't deal with it. I just wrote the story, and I was like, well, C.R.U.SH is like the harvesting of grapes. So that works in beautifully with my whole tie into the wineries and yada, yada, yada. Well, I finished 2 books. I finished a crossover book for Brotherhood Protectors, Falling for Her Rescuer, thank you. So I finished Falling for Her Rescuer for Brotherhood Protectors. It was ready to rock and roll. I had finished Covert Seduction. It was ready to rock and roll. I had gone through critique partners. It had gone through some minor edits. I'd given it to a very trusted reader to beta read it, and she came back, she goes, I thought C.R.U.SH was an acronym. How come it doesn't have an acronym? Like, I don't know anything. Like, how'd they get the money for this? Da 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 da. So I was like, oh man. Now when I found that out, it was March 2019. Pam and I had gotten together in Birmingham for a brief weekend of brainstorming. It was the one weekend I had free in the midst of a massive move, pack up, you name it. And so we met there, and I got up and I gotta walk away. Like, I've just gotta walk away from this. So I went outside and I called the physicist. And as soon as he heard my voice, he was like, "What's wrong?" I said, "I don't have an acronym and I need an acronym and I don't know what to do because I don't know how to come up with something for the H." And he's like, "Christine, we do this stuff all the time where I work." He works as a civilian scientist for the Pentagon. So, they have all kinds of names for everything, right? So I'm like, "Okay, can you help me?" So that's how we came up with Covert Rescuers Undercover Shield. The S and the H are just linked together. Crush, get your next book Crush here. It's just a lot of fun, and thank God for the physicist's calm demeanor during my little mini meltdown. So that problem was solved. Then I had to take a step back and figure out where the money came from. Well, that meant going back in history and in time. So I created actually a history that started back in, I guess, after the First World War. And from there, I could build a family genetics tree. I could build the connections to the different wineries in Italy, which was blown up, by the way, during the Second World War, which was then you'll have to read Covert Seduction to know what happens. Italy, France, the United States. I think there's 2 in the United States, Italy, France, and I'm trying to think where the 5th one, and Israel. There's one in Israel. So basically that was how Crush came to be. It was a lot of moaning and groaning, and it was a year after I came up with the original idea that I came up with the acronym. So things don't always happen in order. Things happen kind of weirdly out of order. And I always say, whenever there's like a bump or a stop in the road, in writing particularly, there's usually a reason, and that means that your subconscious knows it's not quite ready yet, and you have to just kind of take a step back and allow the universe to speak to you again, is how I call it, or the girls in the basement, or your husband giving you an idea. But you just need to take a step back. So this didn't happen overnight. It started in 2018, and here we are in 2020, and I finally have the 3rd book on tap, and I've got a second crossover book ready and 2 books out. It really didn't happen overnight. It was really just stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. And I had a major move, 4, 5 of them now. So then I came up with Crush, and then I changed the book, and then I redid the names for the original series, some of the names. For instance, in the original small town series that I had set in Magnolia Falls, Virginia, the owner of the winery was Alexander. And I was working out at the Y where I was living before on the treadmill, and I was like, well, why does it have to be a guy that runs all this? So I'm like, you know what? I haven't written it yet. I'm gonna make it a girl. So I just texted my critique partner, and I was like, I think I want to give Alexander basically a sex change. So he became Alexandra, and I rewrote his name, his character, changed the name of the vineyard, changed all of that. And then some of the characters remained, but their backgrounds changed. Spencer was in the original series, Tori was in the original series, but Spencer was supposed to be like a widower with a little girl. He's not anymore. Colton was in the original series. Reagan was in the original series. She's going to be in the crossover book. She's Colton's sister. She's going to be in the crossover book. Isabella was never going to be his love interest, Colton's love interest, but she is. She's actually Rafe's younger sister from the Hollywood Heartbreakers series, Tempted by the Heartbreaker, with Sabrina and Rafe. So that there's like all like little kind of links to these other series. And I had another series started, which I'm gonna work on, Global Mavericks. I've got the first book done, but I need to beef it up a bit. I've sort of been ignoring it. I have a lot of revision work to do for it, and I want to incorporate what I've since done with Dangerous Affair, because I linked the main characters of that book, Global Mavericks book, the fake fiance book, to the characters in this book that just got released, Dangerous Affair. So it's nice to do that, because I know as a reader, I like revisiting the characters again and seeing how they're doing in their new lives, and I've always enjoyed that. And so I'm trying to do that with my books and with my different series. So I did that. So, you know, it came very slowly, but it is coming along. And now it's like the third book is sort of, it's been insane. Like I Dangerous Temptation has been a book that I'm exploring a lot of new things. I did some research for it. I have my background for my two main characters, ready to rock and roll. But at first, when I finally, I started brainstorming some different things, and I just wasn't sure. I knew a lot. I had kind of a shaky beginning in my brain, and I was like, I still don't know who the villain is. So I talked to both my critique partners, and I said, you know what? I think I'm going to do the same thing I did with the last book that I wrote. I think I'm just going to dive in with what I know, and hopefully the villain will reveal him or herself as I write the story. I'm not by nature a pantser, but I think I have just enough to write it. And as I've been writing it, I've been stopping and going back and researching, because I've been asking my daughter a lot of questions about MOBA, about multiplayer online battlefield arena games, especially League of Legends. And there's another one that's called WoW, but I can't remember what it stands for. I have to ask her again. I mean, the only virtual reality game I play is Animal Crossing, because she made me a house and a person on her Animal Crossing island so I can go fishing and go to other I'm actually a person on her island that the other little animals can talk to. That's literally the only one I do. So it's been kind of fun looking at the YouTube videos of the League of Legends and how they redo things, and I love learning new things, so this is very cool for me. So it's coming along a little bit faster because I have my background. I know where the inception of Crush was, why it was created. I have the historical stuff, and one day I'll share that in a totally different manner, probably in my newsletter or on my street team, or just as a bonus content at some point. I'm really just interested in writing a lot of words and getting my books out there. So, whenever I got stuck, I go for help. I'm not afraid to ask for help, whether it's on a back cover copy, which I'm okay at writing, but I have a partner that's much better at it. Titles, I suck at coming up with titles, so I'm constantly running those by people. I don't know how the series is going to build. I just know that I have a really kick-butt commander, and I have a love interest for her. I have a really fun story that I'm working on now that is taking some interesting twists and turns, and I'm enjoying it. I love Peyton and Spencer. I think they're a really unique combination of characters, and I think they're really going to bring out the best in each other and find a really great way to have their happily ever after. Not sure quite how they're going to do it, but I know that's going to be really a great book and fun book to write. And as I progress, how do I get more couples? People might ask about that. I don't know. Sometimes they just sort of reveal themselves to me in the writing of the book that I'm currently writing on. Sometimes I have to sit and think about it a little bit more. I know who Alexandra's love interest is. Not going to share that just yet. So we'll see. We'll see who comes after Peyton and Spencer's story, but I'm having fun, and that's the main part for me right now, having fun, because if it's not fun, why do it? I really hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about how I came up with this crazy series idea. And if you did enjoy hearing about it, give me a thumbs up. I do have a series Bible now. I had to stop and do that because I couldn't keep everything straight. So I have that in an Excel worksheet. So if you want to hear more about that, just drop it in the comments below. If you have any suggestions for cool video games or cool online games to watch on YouTube, drop that or put that in the comments below. I really enjoy hearing from people. I'm a social girl, so look forward to hearing from you. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. If you like hearing about this kind of stuff and more, then subscribe to my channel. I promise to keep most of these things short, sweet, and simple. And I just wish you a happy and wonderful day, and also happy writing, happy reading.